Is there anything worse than getting let go from a job, especially if you didn't see it coming? If you had this experience, would you say it's a sucker punch to the gut, followed by an uppercut to the ego, with lingering aftershocks on your self-judgment and self-esteem? I was going to ask everyone to raise their hand if anyone was fired, but it's actually too painful and too private, so I spared you all. But I was fired 3 years ago from my corporate job. And don't worry, this is not a sad story. Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's a triumphant testimonial to the power of intention, plus perseverance, and taking an idea and making it into a viable action, into a viable business. My goal today is if I touch just one person in this room and inspire you by my story and bring out your inner entrepreneur and then pay it forward, this to me was all worth it and a big success. So are you ready? Let's get fired up. Okay. So when I got the call from HR, it was devastating. I felt like I was in the twilight zone. I went from having all the time in the world to having no time in the world, from traveling 60 to 80 hours and working like 8 to 10 hours a day to having all the time in the world. That can be very daunting. I took advantage of it in the beginning by making myself busy, seeing friends and family I may not have seen for a while. But then I took it upon myself to join a gym and to help my body, mind, and soul. Not only was I losing physical pounds, but also mental pounds as well. And while I was doing cardio, I was able to gain tremendous insights from listening to podcasters and thought leaders such as Wayne Dyer, Sarah Blakely, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey and her Super Soul Sunday attendees. They all seem to have a similar message, an equation, if you would. Power of intention plus perseverance equals abundance. Sounds pretty simple, right? Like the simple equation of losing weight. Eat less, exercise more, lose weight. Easy peasy, right? Warning, entrepreneurship is not for the lighthearted, but well worth the effort. So I'm going to share with you 6 steps that took me from going to finding my why to finding my how, and I hope you will join me on this journey. Step number 1 is find your why. Dr. Dyer shares that doing what you love is the cornerstone to abundance. Okay, well, what do I love to do? That was the first question. And luckily, this was easy for me because I love helping dental professionals help their patients improve their airway health. If you're not sure what your calling is, what your purpose is, what your why is, here are 2 questions that may help you because they may uncover some roadblocks of fear and doubt. Number 1, what would you do if you couldn't fail? Number 2, what would you do if you won the lottery? So think about that for a moment. Once you get your why and your purpose, now it's the fun part. Now it's the juicy part. We're going to go to abundance and we're going to dive into the how. Second step is conquering fear. It is inevitable that you're going to have these entrepreneurial jitters and these self-sabotaging voices in your head. I guarantee it. You're going to hear things like, what are you, crazy, Lauren? I heard that a lot. How am I going to do this at my age? Am I capable? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I tough enough? A simple exercise that helped me that I want to share with you is conquering fear with affirmations. Instead of all these MIs, switch it to I am. I did that right before I came up on stage today. I said, I am capable. I am worthy. I am smart. I am going to make a difference. Very powerful. The second thing that helped me combat fear was practicing blind faith. Day 1 of entrepreneurship, I have on my screensaver. It's still there today. I'll show you after if you want to see it. It says you attract what you are ready for. And that to me is a great daily reminder to practice blind faith. When I think of practicing blind faith, it brings me back to childhood, and many of you probably aren't old enough to remember this cartoon character, but his name was Mr. Magoo. Anyone remember Mr. Magoo? Oh, good, okay, I'm not that old then. So Mr. Magoo, he was a blind old man with a trusty cane, and he had a lot of fortitude. He would walk into construction sites and things would be falling all around him, and he just kept walking. I remember he would walk almost off a cliff, and a beam would magically appear, and he just kept walking. He was confident and triumphant in every episode. Be like Mr. Magoo. Have blind faith. Just keep walking. Step number 4 is perseverance. Steve Jobs shares that he believes that the one deciding factor between successful and unsuccessful entrepreneurs is pure perseverance. And I couldn't agree more, because without perseverance and resilience, you will break under pressure. There was no better time for me to be tested than during the 2020 pandemic. We heard these terms ad nauseum, right? Unprecedented, the new normal, and pivot. But it was true. In these unprecedented times, I needed to change my business turn around to make it relevant, as all did you in your dental offices. So now my new normal is all my courses are now online rather than in-person courses. So you have to pivot. When there's a will, there's a way. If you're ever in doubt, go back to Albert Einstein's quote, when there's a will, there's a way. We can do it. Step number 4 is to be resourceful. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Arthur Ashe. I wholeheartedly agree. You do not need to have a major investment to get started. You do need a good laptop and a good Wi-Fi service, but other than that, there are plenty of tools and services. In fact, I wrote an article on it in RDH Magazine, the August edition, if you want to see the 12 steps, so I can lay it out for you. Part of being resourceful is in networking. Network, network, network. It is a verb, okay? Now is not the time to be shy. If you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to find others. You need to be mentored and a mentee. It's the full karmic circle that really makes being an entrepreneur really, really well worth it and very, very enjoyable. I have 3 circles. My innermost circle, which is my family and friends, my secondary circle, which would be my business colleagues, and then my 3rd circle is the social media groups, the Do networks, and now my new friends at the Dental Festival. All 3 are integral to your psyche of your mind and your business. So network, network, network. Step number 5, practice patience. Now, this is not easy for me. This is probably my toughest one, because who doesn't love instant gratification, right? When one door when one door closes, another one opens. But what about the hallway in between? That time really is very, very difficult. And in fact, I go back to my trusty screensaver. You attract what you're ready for. If that door didn't open, it wasn't my door. So go again back to practicing blind faith. So the 6th thing would be, the 7th thing would be, the 6th thing would be grateful. And this is the last step, and probably the hardest step, because when you have a traumatic experience like being fired, the final healing part is being grateful for all of it. I'm grateful that I was fired. I'm grateful for all the failures, because failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Embrace every day, be grateful for your health, your family, your friends, and you can start off every day in all its glory, uncertainty, and opportunity. So I hope that in conclusion, I helped you with my 6 steps, brought out your inner entrepreneur, because you too can contribute to the world. We're waiting for your gifts. You are so creative. Remember, you attract what you are ready for. The question is, what are you ready for? Thank you.